You dropped a bomb about the COVID vaccine. We'll see if we have time to double click on that later in the conversation. I think I'm on the same page as you. I'm someone who really didn't feel comfortable with just drinking the Kool-Aid. I ended up getting a single dose J&J, never got a booster. And I've seen so many anecdotes and so much research come out now that I feel totally vindicated in that in that decision. But I'm sure many in my audience will balk at that. A lot of people in my audience freak out when you mention that.
Here's what I want people to know about with vaccines. If you have an injury from a vaccine, you can't sue the company. It's called the VICP. You have to sue the federal government. It's called a vaccine court. Most people call it a vaccine court. If you look it up on ChatGPT, it's called a vaccine court, but they'll say, well, the vaccine court's kind of the common name. Technically, it's called the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, VICP. But the point is, you're not even suing the drug companies when you have a problem with vaccines. You have to sue the federal government and take tax money to get, some money back from your injury, if that even happens. So you never subpoena the data. You can't. There's no mechanism for getting the data from these drug companies on vaccines. So in other words, they can hide whatever they want. They can literally just make stuff up and say, oh, the vaccine is 99% effective. And they just put that out there. And I'm a scientist and I'm saying, where's the data? Like, where are the studies? And they're saying, oh, there is no study. It's just a press release. You remember that when they said it was 96 point whatever?
Yeah, I remember watching that goalpost move so many times, man. It was 99. It was a miracle vaccine. Then it was 95, then 90, then 80, then 70. Then like, oh, sorry, you got to get one of these every 3 months. Like I watched that happen and I'm amazed that so few people took issue with that. They're just like, oh, I guess we just didn't know what we didn't know. And it's like, really?
Yeah, like new studies are coming out. And it's like, it was never a new study. It was always just press releases and just nonsense coming out of the pharma companies. They're just pulling out numbers. They're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
So even the 70%, even the 50%, whatever, you can't trust any of that stuff, to be totally honest. And that's not the drug company's fault, because of course they're going to do that, because of course that's the way the system is set up. So they're just going to kind of do whatever they want. So we have to change that, right? So that's a sketchy problem to have. And unfortunately, with the COVID vaccine, you can't even sue the federal VICP program if you have an injury from the vaccines, because they were under the Emergency Use Authorization Act, and it was an emergency to push it on everybody. They have a separate program. I call it the CCP, but it's technically called the CICP. It's the compensation injury, whatever. It's some kind of a special designation for emergency vaccines. So basically, they don't pay out. Like if you have crazy injuries from the COVID vaccine, they don't give you anything for it. Wow. Nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
So the COVID was a particularly complicated mess. And most people are kind of aware there was a lot of corruption going on with the whole thing, but they don't realize, as an insider, I realize you can't even sue the company. It's a real problem.